fresh shit.
Going back in the day, ladies and gentlemen, we'll run DMC Rock Hot 1983. It's cold as hell out there. Well, welcome to another edition of the Locker Room. I'm your ugly ass. Coming up at 7:30. Let me just confirm. Matthew Zator will be coming on to discuss the Vancouver Canucks from the NHL. Pick his brain about some other NHL stuff. He is writer and media Hockeypedia, copy editor and Substack manager at The Hockey Writer, host of Prospect Corner. He also writes about prospects and the NHL draft. So we'll pick his brain. Matt Miller from ESPN was supposed to be on at 7 o'clock, but ESPN Radio called. He has other duties he has to tend to. So he will be on Sunday night, end zone to end zone. He will be on for half an hour, probably around 7 o'clock. Most of the playoff games will be done by then. So we will know the setup. News and notes from around the world of sports today. Deontay Johnson, who was cut by the Texans, he is now back with the Ravens. Okay. I don't know if it adds anything. To be quite honest with you, okay. He was with the Ravens, Texans, with the Steelers. Okay. I don't see where it's a big deal. Is he going to make them that much better? Probably not. It's just another body Lamar has to throw to, even if he plays. He won't officially move to the Ravens until February 10th, the day after the Super Bowl. So there you have it. It's a whatever move. It doesn't. Whatever. It doesn't add anything. I don't even know why the Ravens picked him up, to be quite honest with you. He seems to be sort of a head case. So, hopefully, whatever issues that he has, I'm not going to pass judgment, that he gets it straightened out, because he just seems to have something going on, and hopefully he gets hope for it. Being somebody who has gone through a multitude of issues over the years, one of the things that I said a couple of years ago is I'm not going to pass judgment on anybody anymore till I get all the facts. Trying to adhere to just, you reserve the right to pass judgment. Judge not lest you be judged, ladies and gentlemen. NBA, the Suns have acquired Nick Richards in a trade with the Hornets. This is reported by Shams Charania, senior NBA insider for ESPN. Hornets are trading center Nick Richards and a second-round draft pick to the Phoenix Suns for forward Josh Okogie and 3 second-round picks, sources told ESPN. The Hornets are sending a 2025 Denver second-rounder to Phoenix, which trades a 2026 Nuggets second-rounder and a 2031 second-rounders. Denver, Phoenix to Charlotte, sources said. Did you get all that? Does it make any sense? You can go and look at the trade yourself. The Suns rank last in the NBA in points from their starting centers. Richards, a 7-footer. He's averaging 8.9 points and 7.5 rebounds in 21 games this season. His 5th with the Hornets, so he is being shipped. Richards is expected to compete to become the starter at center for the Suns, who have primarily played Mason Plumlee and rookie Oso Ighodaro in recent weeks. Jusuf Nurkic, he is sidelined with the flu right now. Does it make the Suns better? Remains to be seen. Keep an eye on that. Hopefully it works out for both teams. Jim Harbaugh, he is going to have cardiac ablation and a hip replacement. I have had cardiac ablation. It didn't do me shit. He's also going through a hip replacement. If you remember, Harbaugh had to go to the locker room in week 6 because he had a atrial flutter. Anybody who has chronic heart palpitations or PVCs knows that they suck. And different things bring them on. The hip replacement, he's had a limp for a little while. So, thoughts and prayers out to him while he goes through those procedures. The NCAA has approved paying women's basketball tourney teams. Under a plan approved today at the NCAA convention. The unanimous vote by the NCAA membership, which was met by a round of applause, was the final step toward a pay structure for women playing in March Madness after the Division I Board of Governors voted unanimously for the proposal in August. So that's a win for the ladies. A team that reaches the Final Four could bring its conference roughly $1.26 million over the next 3 years in financial performance rewards. In the first year, $50 million will be awarded to teams out of the fund, which is 26% of the women's basketball media revenue deal. That will grow to $25 million or 41% of the revenue by 2028. The 26% is on par with what men's basketball teams received the first year the Performance Units program was established. So good for them. Again, Associated Press article. You can go on there and read the rest of it. Women's college basketball getting their due, and rightly so. Bo Jackson has given up his $21 million judgment in suit versus niece and nephew. Just reading over here, Bo Jackson, he's giving up the $1 million judgment, who the former football and baseball star said his niece and nephew harassed and tried to extort money from him. He alleged in a lawsuit that his relatives were trying to extort $20 million from him through harassment and intimidation. They now must stay at least 500 yards away from him. Let's see. Sorry. In addition to the monetary reward, last year's ruling included a permanent protective order barring his niece and nephew from bothering or contacting him and his immediate family. It also said that they must stay at least 500 yards away from the Jacksons and remove social media posts about them. He is 62 now. Man, do I feel old. Unfortunately, Jack Huffman, he was a Nebraska fan known for the run. If anybody remembers, they had him do the run in a spring game, I believe. That was in 2013. He's lost his 14-year battle with cancer. Prayers and thoughts out to his family and friends. He was diagnosed with the cancerous glioma when he was 5. Doctors told the family that most of his golf ball-sized tumor could not be removed. But his father did exhaustive research and found a doctor in Boston who extracted more than 90% of the tumor. And that's a shame. You never went to see that. But again, thoughts and prayers to his family and friends. Excuse me. Let's go to the NFL. I will be doing an end zone, I will be doing tomorrow the line of scrimmage, focusing on the national championship game. And on Monday at 7 p.m., special line of scrimmage. Good, excuse me. College football national championship watch party. Anybody who wants to tune into that, questions, comments while the game's going on, you're more than welcome to. But in the world of the NFL, obviously Mike McCarthy's gone from the Cowboys. I don't care. People who watch the show, who check out the replays and stuff like that, look, Jerry Jones is a buffoon. Jesus Christ himself could be coach of the Cowboys, and he would get pissed off. He would run off Jesus. The coaching carousel continues. Not that I see any hires from today. Micah Parsons has said that McCarthy's Cowboys exit is devastating. I don't believe him. He'd say all the right things, but I'm not buying that. Whatever. I'm not buying it. But if he wants to say he's devastated that he's gone, if you had a good relationship with him, okay. I don't think Micah wants to really be there. But we'll see what happens with the Cowboys offseason. I'd be interested to see where it goes. Sean Payton said Broncos have found their quarterback with Knicks. No shit. You drafted him for a reason. You started him all year. Why wouldn't you say that? Captain Obvious. Do some of these coaches really sit back and think about what they say? We found our quarterback. You got rid of Russ because you guys didn't get along. You bring in Bo. You didn't draft him to sit on the bench. The Browns have been sued by the city of Cleveland over a proposed stadium move to the burbs. Looks like the Browns would like to build a dome stadium in suburban Brook Park. But this reported Daniel Oyafusi, ESPN. The suit filed Tuesday in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, seeks to invoke the Modell Law to stop the Browns from moving. The state law says any professional sports owner who uses a tax-supported facility for home games and gets funding from the state or a political subdivision can't leave unless it gets permission to play elsewhere or gives 6 months' notice. If you didn't know, in October, the Browns announced that they informed the city of their intentions to build a $2.4 billion state-of-the-art stadium and entertainment complex in Brook Park, which is in the same county but 15 miles south of Cleveland, when their stadium lease with the city expires at the end of the 2028 NFL season. The Haslams, who are the owners of the Browns, are seeking a 50-50 private-public partnership for the construction of the stadium. How about having a winning team first before you think about it, all that shit? Whether you playing where you are now, as opposed to in a dome stadium, your team blows. And the fans deserve better in Cleveland. How about worrying about putting together a fantastic team that the city of Cleveland can be proud of instead of the crap and the shit that you throw out every year? You make fucked up decisions by signing Deshaun Watson, pardon my French, but I think the least of your worries would be building a $2.4 billion stadium or whatever the hell it was, 2.4. How about taking that money and putting together a top-notch organization and product on the field instead of building a dome stadium where you're still going to suck? In early August last year, the city of Cleveland offered the Browns a $1.2 billion proposal to renovate the Huntington Bank Field, the team's current 65,000 seat stadium, and redevelop its surrounding property that would have included $461 million from the city. The city also offered a 30-year extension of the team's lease. But the Browns have played by Lake Erie since 1946, which was the inception of the Browns. And again, how about putting together a winning franchise first instead of building a $2.4 billion stadium? Make it make sense. Make it make sense, man. We've got the ability to build a $2.4 billion stadium, but we don't have the money to put together a good football team. Just like Jerry Jones when he built the Millennium Falcon down there in Arlington, or wherever the hell it is. I'm sure he thought when he built that stadium that the Cowboys would make the Super Bowl. He was wrong. The Indianapolis Colts. For English-speaking friends, that would be the Indianapolis Colts. They have been designated the home team for the 2025 Berlin game. Woohoo. I really wish they would stop doing this shit with the Berlin and the London. Maybe they can have a game on top of Mount Everest. Doesn't make any sense. It's hard on the players. But look, I don't know why the NFL does what it does sometimes. But that's the NFL for you. London, Berlin, Mexico City, Brazil. You remember that game in Brazil? Let's go to the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to make my picks. It all kicks off Saturday, the divisional round. We're down to the final 8. 4:30 on Saturday at Kansas City. It's on ESPN and ABC. The Texans travel to take on the Chefs. Kansas City's favored by 8.5. Everybody knows I'm a Chefs fan. Do I think the Chiefs are going to blow the Texans out? No. Chiefs have played close games all year. The Texans going outdoors in the elements. If everybody remembers 3 or 4 years ago, the Chiefs had a huge lead in Kansas City with Deshaun Watson as the quarterback. And then the Chiefs came back. This will be a close one, but I think the home cooking, the Chiefs will beat the Texans, but it'll be close. I'm going to go Chiefs 28, Texans 20. Also on the 18th, the Commanders travel to take on the Detroit Lions. That'll be on Fox. That's at 8 p.m. Detroit's favored by 9.5. Spread's gone up a little bit. I think the Commanders keep it close, but I think the Lions will get the W. I'm going to go Lions 30, Commanders 21. Then on Sunday the 19th, it'll kick off at 3 p.m. NBC and Peacock. The Eagles will host the Rams. They played earlier in the year. Eagles handled them fairly decently. Philadelphia's favored by 6.5. Again, the Rams out in the elements. Do I think the Eagles are going to blow them out? No. Do I think the Rams can make a game of it? Yes. Especially if they play against the Vikings, or if they play the Eagles the way they played against the Vikings, it'll be close. But I think Eagles at home, too much home cooking. I'm going to go Eagles 27, Rams 20. And of course, we wrap it up Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. This will be on CBS and Paramount Plus. The Bills are going to host the Ravens. I know the fact that the Ravens beat them earlier in the year. Bills at home. Baltimore's favored by a point. I think the Bills will use that as motivation. Look, the Ravens secondary is not that good. You got a hell of a run defense. The Bills, defensively, they bend but they don't break. I have gone back and forth on this game for the better part of 3 days. A lot of people are going to be hopping on Baltimore because of Derrick Henry. And you've got to be able to run the football. But again, big win for Lamar last week. You still have to prove it throughout the playoffs. I picked Baltimore to win last week. I'm going to take the Bills in a close one. Bills kick a late field goal. They win the game 27-24. So there you have it. So it'll be the Chiefs and the Bills in the AFC Championship game. It'll be the Lions and the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. So there you have it. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Again, excuse me. Matthew Zator, or Zator, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly either way. Hopefully he'll be on at 7:30. So before he comes on here, let's just jump to the NHL real quick. In the National Hockey League tonight, it's only 2 games. The Sabres in the second period, they're up on the Hurricanes 2-0. It always works out that when I pick my NHL fantasy teams like day to day, I normally will go with the favorite on my team. But I told myself from this point forward, I was going to do opposite of what I'm going to do. The favorites are the Hurricanes by far, but the Sabres are up 2-0. So I just stocked my fantasy team with all Sabres players. So they're up 2-0. Later on at 8:30 p.m., the Oilers travel to take on the Wild. Edmonton is favored in that one. So a very, very light schedule in the NHL today. And ladies and gentlemen, he's early. I see him in the green room there. That is, I hope I'm pronouncing it. Is it Zator or is it Zader?
It both ways. I've
both
had
ways.
Both. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Matthew. Again, this is Matthew Zader, writer and media, Hockeypedia, copy editor, and Substack manager at the Hockey Writer, host of the Prospect Corner. He also writes about prospects and the NHL draft. Thanks for joining, man.
Oh, happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
So where do we stand with the Canucks basically midway through the season? I was looking up stuff. They're sort of like right in the middle of everything. So they're not bad. They're not great. They're just sort of stuck in the middle, man.
They're very average this season. Very, I would say, inconsistent. Consistently inconsistent, because they had great, like just these last 2 games, for example. Maple Leafs had a great game against them, and then they turn around and play against the Jets. So I mean, they're the best team in the NHL right now, but they get destroyed 6-1. That's basically the story of the season. One game where they're great. They play great defensively. They score timely goals. And then they end up having a game where they can't defend and they let in a bunch of stuff. And their top players aren't their top players. I mean, that's just 2 games, but it's happened all season long. I don't think they've put together 2 back-to-back games with good efforts, and so different from last season.
The only thing that I could nitpick at is the fact that they're taking a lot of penalty minutes. And when they take the penalty minutes, their penalty kill is atrocious. That's the only they're at the bottom in penalty killing percentage-wise. What needs to change in that particular category? Because again, I know when you get down in hockey, you're down 3-1. Somebody takes it upon themselves to get into a fight or something to try and get the team motivated. If they're taking the penalty minutes, Matt, and they can't kill the power play, you're not going to win many games.
No, and the problem is the Canucks haven't really had a good penalty kill for a while. I mean, they used to be, even last season when they were one of the best teams in the NHL, they didn't have a good penalty kill. I don't know what it is. They can't seem to get it figured out. Special teams in general this season haven't been very good. Their power play has kind of sputtered along too. It's more in the middle of the NHL. So, I mean, those need to be better. Penalty killing for sure. Like you said, I mean, they want to be an aggressive team. They want to be physical. Yet you can't be taking penalties and not being able to kill them because especially against a team, like the Jets last night. They allowed just one power play goal, but this is against the best power play in the NHL, and they gave them a few opportunities on it, and they don't take. Usually, the Jets don't get a lot of power plays because teams are just afraid to take penalties against them. And I mean, the Canucks, they did kill 2 of them, but still allowed a power play goal.
Yeah, because I mean, as far as the goaltending, I'm just trying to look at here. Save percentage isn't great. They're, let's see, 1, 2, 3. They're 28th, or they're tied for 28th with the Canadians. We all know what the Canadians are.
Yeah,
but it almost seems like if they can just shore up the back end somewhat, they're not far off for that last playoff spot right now. So with all that being said, what's the deal with JT Miller?
Yeah, that's the story of only JT Miller, Elias Pettersson. That's been a story for the last, I want to say, all season. Really big the last couple months, but I mean, it just looks like the writing's on the wall that Miller will be traded. I don't see the Canucks moving Elias Pettersson just because of his age. He's 26. You got Miller at 31. He's going to be 32 soon. He's got that long-term contract. He's also got that no movement clause, which is going to put a wrench into it. If he doesn't want to get traded, he's not going anywhere. And I mean, there was the rumors that he'll be okay with moving to the Rangers. I think ultimately, if he does get traded, that's where he's going. I don't know where else. I mean, before he re-signed, there was a whole bunch of stuff with his trades too, and Pittsburgh was always on that list. You got Columbus as well. I don't see those teams going after him now, but definitely the Rangers, because they're a mess too. I mean, they need a guy like that as well. It's a lot tougher to trade Miller because of that no movement clause that he's got.
What's the rift for people who don't know?
I mean, we don't know. I mean, obviously they asked him about it. They both denied it. Pettersson got angry about the question. There's something there. I mean, there's, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's always, if there wasn't anything, these rumors wouldn't be around. And if it definitely wasn't, then we'd stop talking about it. And it just keeps going on. One thing about Miller too is he seems to be a bit checked out now. When you see him playing, he doesn't look like he has the same emotion in his game. And I mean, it goes back to a few years ago before Tocchet took over. He was this same type of player. I mean, he wasn't very good defensively. He'd have those emotional outbursts where he'd get annoyed with his teammates on the ice, where he'd see a little arguments. With Colin Delia a few seasons ago, where he was annoyed with him not getting out of the net. I mean, it seemed like a little bit with Lankinen. I think it was about a month ago too that he got a little annoyed with him. I don't know. It just seems like he doesn't want to be here, even though there hasn't been any concrete talk that he's requested a trade.
Is there any sort of inkling as to what happened? I sort of saw something, old article right after the summer, that they sort of got into it, him and Pettersson in a scrimmage.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what it stems from. Is there any inside word at what it might be?
Again, there's mixed things about that. I mean, yeah, there was that in training camp where they apparently told Miller, you got to toughen Pettersson up. And he kind of got into it in a scrimmage there where he got a bit physical with him. I mean, I don't know if that's where it started, but apparently this started back when Travis Green was here. So this thing has not been something that just came out of nowhere. This has been kind of festering. Even Bruce Boudreau said, well, before he was hired, he thought it was all sorted out. So, I mean, can it be fixed? That's my question, because this is something that's not just happened in the last month when we started talking about it. This goes back a few seasons. I mean, Travis Green's been gone for 3 or 4 seasons now, and this still hasn't been solved. I don't know. I think a trade may actually have to happen for it to be fixed.
So they trade Miller. Do they have to go defense?
I mean, the thing is they definitely do, but I don't know the way the rumors are. It sounds like they want a center in return. For Miller or Pedersen, they don't want defense, but that's where they need the upgrade. The problem is though, you trade Miller, now you have Pedersen as your top line center, of course. Who's there after him? You've got Pius Suter, not a second line center. Teddy Bluger, not a second line center. Who are you putting in that position? Now your team is a lot weaker. Yes, you may be better on defense, depending on who you get. But now you only have basically a one-line team. Is that better for the Canucks? And they don't have anyone coming up either, prospect-wise, down the middle. So I'm not sure. I think they need to get a centerman in return for Miller or Pedersen, depending on who they trade.
So they're a point off the final playoff spot. Am I seeing that correctly? They're a point behind Calgary.
1 point, yeah.
Yeah, behind Calgary. So what are they going to need to make a push here? Look, they're only a game off the final playoff spot. Look, like you said, Winnipeg, one of the top teams in the NHL, Minnesota having a solid season. Edmonton's caught fire again. I picked the Stars and the Rangers in the NHL playoffs. I don't know what I was thinking with the Rangers. I was just going based off last year. But look, only a game off. What are they going to need to do to make a playoff push?
They need to start playing like they did at the beginning of last season. I mean, they kind of fell off after the All-Star break. I mean, everyone's saying, oh, they're not the same team this season. I don't think they've been the same team since the All-Star break last season. They're playing the same way. I mean, I don't know if Tocchet just changed his system. There was talk at the beginning of the season he wants the Canucks to be more of a rush team. Why are you breaking things that worked at the beginning of last season? Just go back to that. I don't know if it's too late for that now. Their defense is definitely not the same. Losing Zadora, losing Ian Cole. I think those two defensemen are a lot more. Yes, they haven't been that good where they are now, but I think they really fit with the Canucks. And so, I mean, to make a playoff push, they need to be better in a lot of areas. Like you talk about the penalty kill, power play, goaltending. Lankinen's been great, but ideally you want Demko to be back in that position as being a Vezina Trophy type goaltender. He's still working his way back from that injury. There's just a lot of stuff that's gone on with this team this season that I don't know. There's just a lot that needs to change. One thing is to be consistent from game to game, and that seems to be a tough task for this team. Going from one day to the next, even though they say, we need to be better. They're better for one game, and then they just revert back to being a bad team again. So I don't really know what they need to do to be able to, I think, just be a bit more of a consistent type team. But that seems to be easier said than done.
Why do they struggle so much at home? Because away,
they're
12-6-4. But at home, they're 7-8-6.
That's a question I have no answer for. It really doesn't make sense. Last season they were one of the best teams in the league on home ice. Most of the time they'd win. Their stats are ridiculous between home and road. They allow so many goals. They're like close to 4 a game. They don't score very much at home either. Their power play sucks at home. Their penalty kill is bad at home. Lankinen's bad at home. I mean, it just every person that you look at, their stats are just horrible. And it's really tough to go to a game as a fan. Are we going to see a good game? I said, probably not. And another thing that they have problems with this season is winning in overtime. They seem to always, they got so many OTLs. Yes, they're points, but they start winning some of those games. But yeah, I have no answer really why they can't put together a good team game at home. They're not doing that well on the road lately either. But home ice should be an advantage. Doesn't seem to be right now for them.
Matthew, can we get rid of the OTL?
Yes, I wish. I don't like it. I petitioned for what's the point of it? I mean, I think you got to go back to, I don't like ties. I mean, I never liked them when they were, but you have to go back to, if you lose, you get no points. You win, you get points. And that seems to be the common sense to it. But I don't know. The NHL doesn't seem to want to go away from it. It creates the parity in the league like they like. But yeah, I hate the loser point.
Yeah, I'm old school. I just wish that they would go back to the old way. Eastern Conference, Western Conference. Out of the 32 teams in the National Hockey League, what's your biggest surprise? What's your biggest disappointment?
I mean, the biggest surprise. I want to say it's the Calgary Flames in the West. I mean, I really didn't think they were going to be a good team. Yes, they are just on the cusp of playoffs. I didn't think they'd be even in that realm. In their goaltending, Dustin Wolf coming in, rookie goaltender. I wasn't sure how he was going to adjust. Their defense wasn't anything to write home about. Rasmus Anderson was best defenseman, but they're just playing a very good, gritty type team game. And I mean, they don't have high-end scorers. I mean, Huberdeau's looking good for some reason again. I mean, that's a big thing. So they're my biggest surprise in the West. I mean, I didn't think the Flames would be anywhere near playoff picture at all. In the East is the downfall of the Rangers. I really don't understand it. I mean, they're a lot like the Canucks, really. Falling from such a high pedestal. They won the President's Trophy last season. Made it to the Eastern Conference Final again. They just don't seem to like the same team either. And they've got so much talent, and they can't seem to put it together. So those are my two real surprises. I guess a good surprise and a bad surprise.
Before I let you go, I would be amiss if I didn't ask about my lowly Chicago Blackhawks. I knew it would be bad. We haven't really been all that great since the Stanley Cup years in the early 2010s. But I know Bedard was hurt for a lot of last year. I just didn't think they'd be this bad again this year. And they are. Them, the Predators, the Sharks. Do you see it turning around anytime soon? Because quite honestly, Matthew, I don't.
I want to say yes, because they just got so much young talent. I mean, you meant Bedard is like headlining that. We got Frank Nazar, is going to be a star in the NHL, I think, in the future too. You got some good defense as well. I mean, the goaltending I think is the biggest thing they still got to figure out. Drew Commesso, I mean, I don't know. I think he's going to end up being something. I don't know about a high end starter. But I mean, he's in the system. He just turned pro not that long ago. Had his first NHL game not that long ago too. So I mean, they've got the talent. It's just putting it all together. And the last two seasons, and they bring in some veteran guys. Tyler Bertuzzi this season. Taylor Hall last season, even though he was hurt most of the year. They trying to insert that veteran guys. They just don't seem to be able to push. And Bedard just doesn't seem like he's having fun, which I guess is not good, because you want your star player to actually think there's a future here. And I mean, they've got the pieces, the youth to do it. It's just getting to all the pieces, kind of putting them together and with a puzzle that fits. And I mean, Bedard's a great guy to build around. It's just, is he going to be patient enough, I guess, is my question.
And one last thing before I let you go here. It was almost 40 years between the Blackhawks winning a Stanley Cup and winning their next one. Toronto Maple Leafs, Matthew. Say it every year. We say it every year. As currently constructed, they should make a long, deep run. If they don't make a deep run this year and even make it to a Stanley Cup final, are Toronto Maple Leaf fans finally going to commit Harry Carey?
Say that every year, right?
Oh my God! They are stuck in purgatory for all these years for some reason, and they're a fantastic regular season team. But then they get to the playoffs, and it's almost like they play not to lose.
Yeah. mean, Craig Berube, I mean, is a different type of coach. I mean, you make it there. I mean, he's shown that he can win. So I mean, his style of game and his coaching style is conducive to playoff success. Will it happen? I don't know. They got the talent. They definitely do. They have the talent every year, and they've got a better defensive system this season. It's just, can all the stars kind of put it together in the playoffs, which has been a problem in the past. And I think if they don't make it this year, Mitch Marner's not back next season. John Tavares, I don't know. I mean, I think he seems to be okay. He might re-sign, but I think Marner's definitely gone, and that's a massive part of that team. And I don't know what else blows up. They've already changed their GM. They've changed their coach. What else can you do? I mean, change your core, I guess, is the next thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Matthew Zator. He covers the Vancouver Canucks, also NHL prospects and draft. Tell the people again where they can get a whole year, where they can read your material.
I'm on the hockeywriters.com. You can check out all my writing there for the Canucks draft coverage coming up. Lots of stuff there. Also on the Hockey Writers YouTube channel, of course, host Prospect Corner with Peter Barachini and Dayton Reimer, where we do a show every week talking prospects. So yeah, you check us all out there.
Awesome. I will pick your brain again as we head into the playoffs and get your expertise pick. So again, Matthew, thanks for coming on.
Oh, happy to be here. It was great talking with you.
You too. Have a good night.
All right.
Again, I am going to stick with the Stars out west. Eastern Conference, I am going to have to pick somebody else because the Rangers aren't going to do it.
I picked the Rangers too.
Did you?
I did.
So I will. I'm still going to go Stars. Like to pick the Hurricanes, but they always disappoint in the playoffs. Panthers are well seasoned. Maple Leafs, we all know what they do. The Capitals. Look, Alex Ovechkin might play till he's 60.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So, all right. Again, thanks for coming on, Matt.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Let's go to the association. National Basketball Association. Games tonight. Right now, the Knicks up big on the 76ers, 38-23. That's in the second. Raptors up on the Celtics, 15-5. That's in the first. Beginning at 8 o'clock. Hawks at the Bulls, Magic at the Bucks, Mavericks at the Pelicans, Grizz at the Spurs, 9 o'clock. Rockets, Nuggets, Hornets at the Jazz, at 9:30. The Warriors at Timberwolves, at 10 o'clock. Heat at the Lakers, and 10:30. Nets at the Clippers. Let's go to the NBA standings. Not much has changed from the other day, so let's actually not go through the standings. Again, right now on top of the Eastern Conference, the Cleveland Cavaliers are up 6 games on the Celtics, and the Oklahoma City Thunder up on the surprising Houston Rockets by 6.5 games. We're about 3-4 weeks away from the All-Star games in the NBA and the NHL. Mr. Butler from the Heat, he is still requesting a trade. I'm sure Pat Riley's sick of his ass. The right deal has to come along, but for Mr. Butler, he's been a headache everywhere he's been. He's a diva. Ladies and gentlemen, I've said this before and I'll say it again. As a professional athlete, if you make it to the NBA or the NHL, the NFL, whatever, just be happy you're playing. Contribute where you can contribute. Stop your bitching. Stop your moaning. You're making more money than you and I'll ever see. Joe Schmo. The Joe Schmoes of the world, like me. Just play the game. I get it. You want to win. You want to win a championship. Everybody does. who's playing professional sports. Everybody does. If you go out and perform and you stop your bitch pissing and moaning, everything will fall into place. Just come from a different time, different generation. You watching professional sports when I was a kid in the 70s, then later years in the 80s and 90s. I don't know where it all went wrong. But for the love of Christ, NCAA men's basketball, ladies and gentlemen. Top 25 action tonight. Let's see what's on the slate. Right now in the first half, Iowa State, number 2 Iowa State leads number 9 Kansas 34-30. In the first, number 12 Michigan State is up on Penn State 21-13. At 8 o'clock, number 6 Tennessee hosts number 23 Georgia. At 8 o'clock, number 10 Houston hosts West Virginia. 9:30 p.m. 17 Purdue is at Washington. And at 11 o'clock, number 22 Utah State is at UNLV. Let's go to the women's side. See what sort of top 25 matchups we have on now. At the half, number 6 UConn leads St. John's 36-21. At the half, number 20 West Virginia leads Colorado 31-24. At the half, number 22 Michigan State and Rutgers are tied 33 apiece. At 9:30 p.m., number 1 UCLA takes on Penn State at home. And postponed, number 4 USC was to host Northwestern. But again, the fires out there in Los Angeles. Send what you can as far as aid, shoes, whatever. It's devastating out there. My thoughts and prayers to everybody that's been affected by it. It's terrible. It's horrible. Look, natural disasters like this, whether man-made or not, it's just devastating. So hopefully things will improve after tomorrow. But again, send your thoughts and prayers. Any kind of help you can send it out there. Soccer, ladies and gentlemen, the Premier League kicked back off today. Again, at some point, I will go over every league, but it would take an hour because there's so many leagues. It would actually take me 2 hours to go through everything. But earlier today, Aston Villa beat Everton 1-0. Crystal Palace beat Leicester 2-0. Newcastle beat Wolverhampton 3-0, and Arsenal beat Tottenham 2-1. Tomorrow at 2:30 p.m., Ipswich will host Brighton, and at 3 p.m., Manchester United hosts Southampton. There are no EPL games on Friday. On Saturday, as my Verizon pad here updates. But 7:30 a.m., Newcastle hosts Bournemouth. 10 o'clock, Brentford hosts Liverpool. Leicester hosts Fulham. West Ham hosts Crystal. Excuse me. And at 12:30 p.m., Arsenal hosts Aston Villa in a big matchup. Then on Sunday, at 9 o'clock, Everton hosts Tottenham. 9 o'clock, Man United hosts Brighton. 9 o'clock, Nottingham Forest hosts Southampton. And at 11:30, Ipswich hosts Man City. So I think that's going to just about do it. Let's go to the world of college football. I am not going to make my pick until Monday night, by the way. Quinn Ewers has declared for the 2025 NFL Draft, Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers, which opens the door for Arch Manning now. So the Arch Manning era at Texas will begin. I don't think Quinn's ready, but what are you going to do? Bill Belichick has added 2 new coaches to his staff. That would be longtime NFL special teams coach Matt Prefer and veteran SEC offensive line coach Will Friend are expected to finalize deals that will bring them to North Carolina. So he's slowly putting together his staff. North Carolina Tar Heels quarterback Jacoby Criswell, he has entered the transfer portal. Probably is not going to fit into the system that Belichick's going to bring over. So we'll have to see where he winds up. Again, don't get me started on the transfer portal. My head will explode. Anybody who wants to go take a look at it, you're more than welcome to, because there's thousands of them in there. Tennessee Volunteers have extended defensive coordinator Tim Banks. It doesn't say what the term doesn't really say what the terms are. Let me look. The Vols held 11 of the 13 opponents under 20 points, and they finished 5th nationally in yards per play, only 4.56. Banks received interest from multiple teams. Actually, here it is. His new deal will pay him in the $2 million range annually. He made $1.5 million this season. Again, performance, everything falls into place. Former UNLV quarterback, remember, Mr. Matthew Sluka, who left the team over an NIL dispute, he is headed to James Madison University. Doesn't say anything about an NIL deal. So, good for him. 2025 Hall of Fame class was announced. Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Michael Vick, and Michael Strahan lead the 2025 College Football Hall of Fame class. And again, the college football, the Natty is on Monday. And the only thing now it says 7:30 start time. Whether they started at 7:30, I don't know. It might. To the NCAA, as far as college football goes, to the NCAA playoff committee, my suggestion is this: don't play this goddamn game on a Monday. Why don't you kick off the weekend? Because the pro football play, it's the divisional round of the playoffs. Why not kick it off on Friday to kick off the weekend? Now, if you're actually going to start the game at 7:30 and it's over by 11, different story. But if you have it on a Monday, who the hell is going to stay up that late when they have to work the next day? You play other games on a Friday during the regular season, even bowl games during the Christmas break. Why not have the game on a Friday night? Monday. Stupid. So I think that's a good amount to do it. It's at the 8 o'clock hour. It's cold, man. I don't mind the winter. I don't mind snow. I don't even mind the cold. Cold and snowy. It's the freaking wind. When it's 33 degrees out and the wind's whipping around and it hits your ass, you can only layer so much. That's the kind of shit that I don't like. It's 25 degrees out, and then the wind hits you, and it feels like it's 10. Don't like it. But hey, I think we're 10 weeks away from spring. So, ladies and gentlemen, thoughts and prayers again to everybody out in the Los Angeles area. Show compassion, show empathy, have passion for what you do. Hug somebody today or tomorrow. Hug somebody every day. Tell them you love them. Tell them you appreciate them. Because you never know when it's going to be the last time you're going to see somebody. I'm not trying to be morbid, but if the world would practice more empathy and compassion, we'd all be better off. So you tell somebody you love them or you appreciate them or you hug them, even if they're having a bad day, you might spark up their day. So I will see everybody tomorrow on the line of scrimmage. SEC, Big Ten, a lot of conferences have come out with their 2025 schedule. Probably look at that. I am not going to make my college football picks until the college football national championship game watch party on Monday. Stay warm out there, ladies and gentlemen. And again, stay safe. I will see everybody tomorrow. Oh, and thanks to Matt Zator for coming on tonight.